Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 3 of my new podcast, Basement Politics with Freddy Vazquez. Tonight, May 23rd, I have a special guest. I like to call him special. I was very excited to have him on the show. I actually got to meet him before he came on, which was a pleasure. I'd like to introduce the former deputy chief of the Yonkers Police and now city council candidate for District 6, Tim Hodges. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Tim Hodges. Tim, I like to welcome everyone, with some positive, feeling and stuff. So anyway, how you doing, Tim? How's everything going?
Doing well, Freddie. And thank you so much for having me. And like you mentioned before, it was so nice to meet you a couple of weeks back. Really a pleasure.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. We did chat it up for a bit. We were there. You came by the my office and also our daycare center and remote learning center, Little Prodigies. I also met Steve. And it was a pleasure. I enjoyed the conversation. You shared some interesting stories, and I knew that you would be a great guest to have on the show. So I wanted to, welcome you on, and then I wanted to get right in. But I wanted to start with kind of going back, Tim, because when we spoke, you mentioned to me about, your history within the police department. You're a lifelong resident of Yonkers, correct?
Yes.
And you've been in the police department 30 years?
Almost 34. It was 33 years and 10 months when I retired last June.
Wow. And you were mentioning about your time on the force during the 80s. Now, I'm from Yonkers. Obviously, I was born and raised here. I'm somewhat remember the late 80s and the early 90s. It was a bit different, right? So I just want to see if I just tell us a little story about that. Let us know what it was like then.
So, Freddie, it was a different time. Things are much better now, and Yonkers is a really safe city now. And there's so many different things, so much technology that has happened since then. But back in the 80s, it was a different time. And unfortunately, we were dealing with the crack epidemic.
Yes.
And the projects in Yonkers were really bad. The crime was bad. It was a different time. It was a sad time because you could see families were ruined. People were ruined because of drugs. And I'll tell you, it was just a bad time. It was a time where, people were arrested at great amounts. And we found out in the police work that didn't work. That was not effective. No. Arresting people, you cannot arrest your way out of a problem. And it turned into a positive thing where police learned a lot, especially in Yonkers. Yonkers police learned a lot where you help people, like get people in programs. And we were good at that. Instead of arresting people, we got people in programs. We have some amazing programs right here in Yonkers that we were able to get people into. So, it was a sad time, but it was a time where the city came together. And race was never an issue. It was more about people. It was more about helping people. So I think we fared much better than major cities, Chicago, Detroit, New York City. They suffered terribly. Yonkers came together, and I'll tell you, we always pick each other up. There were a couple of programs there. One was called Weed and Seed, and it was more like you clean an area up, but then you have to build the people up. The seed part was where you take the people and you get them in programs. Jail doesn't work. I mean, so the programs help.
I agree. And I definitely agree with you. And, when thinking about you coming on the show, and you as a candidate for city council, one of the things that immediately I thought of was that, you were going to have a unique experience or perspective coming into the city council, right? Having been in the police force here in Yonkers for 34 years, and representing the city and the people, I guess, in that capacity. And now you're going to be on the political side of things, right? And you're going to be representing your constituents, directly representing the people, but you have that unique experience on working in the community as a police officer. How do you think that will play a role? How will that, be a plus for the people of Yonkers?
So you know what I think is amazing, and when I retired last year, I had no intentions of running for politics. It really just came in the fall of last year, where a few people had approached me, and people mentioned, oh, would you consider it? And at first, I was reluctant to do it, but you know what I realize is being a police officer and any civil service job or any job where you work with the people every day of your life, unbeknownst to me, this was preparation to get into politics,
Right.
because people have problems. They have some are minute problems, and if they're not heard, they feel left out. So my thing is, I was always that police officer that was there for somebody. Even as chief, as a police officer, I was walking the beat in Getty Square. Until the day I retired, I was walking the beat in Getty Square, meeting the store owners, the people. And I think that's a testament, because I remember where I came from. I grew up on Carroll Avenue in very humble beginnings. And I remember what it was like. So you know what? People want to be heard. I would talk to the bus drivers. I would talk to the homeless people. I would talk to the doctors who worked in the clinics. So I went through the whole realm. I'll talk to anybody. And I think it just came natural to me. So I just jumped on that.
Yeah, and I agree with you. People just want to be heard. People want to be validated, right? And
Absolutely.
one of the biggest, I think, complaints that people would give, and I think I've been hearing this from some of the candidates who've been, canvassing and going around and knocking on doors, is that people do not often feel heard. And they feel like, we see the candidates during election time, right? They knock on our doors, we say hello, we sign the signatures. But then, once they're in there, we don't really see them, and we don't feel like we have a voice that is being heard, right? How would you be different? How will you change that? That sentiment among people, specifically within your District 6, but in the city of Yonkers.
So I think if you ask most people that know me, I commit to things almost to a fault, where I get involved in something and I just run with the ball. And you know what I found very disheartening is, because I took a vow to walk and knock on every door in this district. So I've been knocking on every door, mostly Democrats, because I have the primary coming up, but I'm going to knock on every door. So that was one major thing. What I find disheartening when I knock on doors, people ask me, they say, well, who is my council person?
Right.
And to me, they're going to know who I am. When I become council person, they're going to know me. They're going to know, you call Tim Hodges, you're going to get results. You may not get the best answer. I may not have all the answers. I may not be able to get everything done, but you know what? You will get an answer.
Absolutely. And I like that. And actually, when I spoke to people, in the days prior to the show, and I mentioned you, and, everyone said good things. I don't think not one bad thing was said about you. And I will say that, and everyone said that you're a good guy. You were one of the good ones, right? That was kind of a phrase that some people had said. And I got the same feeling when we spoke. So, I definitely will agree with them based off that conversation. I like to say that I'm a good judge of character, judge of people. So definitely, I would say that I believe you when you say that you're going to be out there. And I think that's important. I think that politicians, once elected, need to be more visible, right? And I think that the people would definitely appreciate that. You mentioned something also about walking the beat in Getty Square and quality of life, right? Being a police officer, you've dealt with a lot of quality of life issues and complaints, I'm sure. I go to Getty Square all the time. I'm in and out of the area going to the bank or going to get something to eat, a meeting. And I think there is a quality of life issue that needs to be addressed in Getty Square. Would you agree?
Totally agree. You know what? Unfortunately, the whole country, crime is rising all over the country. And again, it has been rising in Yonkers. But you hit it on the head. Quality of life is essential, because if we don't have the quality of life, it breeds bad things. The graffiti, if there's people urinating, if anything is out of place, it just breeds problems. I work at St. John's Hospital now. I walk around that hospital. If there's a light out, I address it immediately. I don't walk past it. If there's a paper on the floor, I pick it up. So I think we need to do that. We need to take that holistic look at Getty Square and expand it out. I think the current administration is doing a good job. They do the best they can, but what we need to do is get more people out there, get rid of the graffiti. You leave it up and it's a billboard for problems. And it's always been that way. So walk through Getty Square. Let all the politicians, I'll walk through there with them, point things out, fix things immediately. Don't let it fester. If a street light's out, fix it immediately.
Absolutely. I agree. And I think a lot of the business owners would appreciate that there in the Getty Square area. They have felt the effects of, the loitering in front of the building, in front of the businesses. It was not too long ago that I believe someone was stabbed, one of the business owners, I believe. So that's something I think that the business owners in the area and the people of Yonkers in general would definitely love to see addressed. And I think that you having the experience in law enforcement, I think that you would have that, that knowledge and that ability to kind of deal with that situation, which it definitely is needed, very much. You also mentioned you're head of security at St. John's currently now, right? Is that your current position there?
I'm actually director of support services, so I
Okay.
oversee security, safety, engineering, and the grounds. And we actually have 8 facilities throughout the
Oh,
Western
wow.
area.
Wow. I didn't realize that. Wow. So yeah, so you're a busy guy. So you're working there at St. John's. You sounds like you got a lot going on, a lot of responsibilities there. And now you're running for City Council, District 6. How will that impact your role as City Council, or will it?
So you know what? I do work a full-time job, but I would take this city council job as a full-time job. I I know it's considered a part-time job. I would never consider it that. I think it's a 24/7 job. I would devote my entire time to it. I would be available for people all the time, 24/7. People. It's nice, and I no hit on anyone. It's nice to go to ribbon cuttings and it's nice to go to grand openings, but most of the time, and I found this out in police work, they don't need you during good times. They need you during bad times. So I would be that guy. I've done it before. I've done it for 30. I've done it for my whole adult life. It's in my blood, and I would just be there for everybody. So I would make it a full-time job, full-time commitment.
Great. One thing that I've always, for many years, I've always just thought of this idea of having police, right, with the environment that the country is in, not just the city of Yonkers, but the entire country in regards to policing and relationship with the community, right? Specifically the Black community and Latino communities, but more specifically the Black community. That's something that as a city council person, you will be having to address at some point within our city. We've had issues before. Do you have any plans, or have you thought of any strategies or ways to improve the police relationships with the community within the city of Yonkers?
Of course, and you know what? Even in the police department, I would always meet with the local NAACP. I would meet with the African American Advisory Board that the mayor put together. I met with them monthly, always to go over issues, always to try to be in the forefront of any problems that we may incur. And you know what? One thing that I wanted to bring up, and it has to do, just to go back to the Getty Square, and I'm sorry to go off point, but
No, sure. No,
it's important.
we're here for.
Mental health problems
Yes.
are huge. And when I was in the police department, I became a crisis negotiator 25 years ago. And there were 2 of us. When I became a captain, I took it over. I took the whole rollover. There are now 24 crisis negotiators in Yonkers. And we have every ethnic group, different people at different language, people that speak sign language. So instead of police going out and using force, we talk to them. We do crisis negotiation. And there were times when I would be at a scene for a day and a half. And I say, we're not going in there. We're going to talk to this person until they're exhausted. And then we're going to bring them out. Because a lot of times, and a lot of times force is necessary. Sometimes police use force, and it is necessary. But my point is, let's use every tool that we possibly have to not use force. So let's talk to the people, and that almost goes into race relations where we
Yes.
don't confront people physically. We talk to them. Let's talk to them until blue in the face. Let's turn the water off, the gas off. Let's make it uncomfortable till they come out.
I agree. I agree. And taking that approach takes patience. It takes some training or retraining of police officers. I know there's talk in the news now of having social workers go out to the scene as opposed to the police officers, or maybe with the police officers, right? My wife being a social worker, I don't know how I would feel about that. As much as I would love for her to be able to diffuse a situation without using violence, right?
Yeah.
Violence is always the potential, right? So I don't know if I would feel comfortable. What do you think about
You know what, Freddie? We train in the police department with our weapons. You train for confrontations. Let's train just as much or more with talking to people. Let's train them to diffuse situations. And I know we've come a long way with that, but let's double it. Let's triple it. Let's let people spend another month in the police academy to learn how to speak to people. You know, people want to be respected. Everybody, you approach someone on the street, man, woman, they want to be respected. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic group you're in, you want to be respected. And we need to teach people to speak to them properly. And I spent a career where I very, very few times had to go hands-on with people because I talked to them. You talk to them, you could diffuse almost anything.
I agree. It's all about respect, right? It's all about giving people equal respect, the respect that you would want someone to give you, regardless of that person, as you said, socioeconomic status, color of skin, gender, sex, or any other category that we may be placed in. All right, it's all about respect, equal respect, and I agree with that. And I think that that's what, in my experiences with police officers, I found that when I've given respect, I've received respect. Now, it always hasn't been great. I've had my issues also, but I think that to generalize police officers, would be just as bad a poor judgment as generalizing any group, right? Like I say, there's good people and bad people in any industry. So that's just something that we have to understand and work to improve. I agree with you a lot on that. But one of the things I would like to see, from police officers, I would like to see them walking up and down the street, hanging out with some of the young kids out there, right? The youth, getting out and introducing themselves, being proactive, right? Rather than reactive, being a proactive strategy where we go out, hey, how you doing? I'm officer so-and-so. I'm so-and-so, nice to meet you. And now you build a relationship with the kids, right? The youth in that area. So this, I would think, would reduce crime. I think we would reduce the tension between the police and the community, right? What do you think?
I'll tell you two quick stories. So I remember as a young cop, and I was walking the beat in Schroeder Street, and I was with a partner. I forget who it was, but these kids were playing stickball, and I jumped in. I started playing stickball with them. They loved it, absolutely loved it. This is probably 1989. And you know what? A sergeant came. It was a different time. Sergeant came and yelled at me. He said, "What are you doing? What you can't do that. What are you playing games? You're playing while you work." So it was a different time.
Right.
And you know what? I'll tell you, I learned from bad supervision at times. And another time, I had a sergeant who told me, "You're never going to amount to anybody because you don't like writing tickets." I would always, I'd pull up to a pizzeria and the guy's running in for a pizza, and now that pizza that cost $20, $15 now cost him $100 because I gave him a ticket.
Right.
I would let the go say, "Hey, you know what? Don't do it again." And this sergeant told me, he goes, "You're never going to amount to anything." And you know what? I became chief, and he was still a sergeant when I retired.
There you go. Because God, I believe, blesses those who blesses others, right?
Yeah.
And my wife will tell you, I'm not the greatest with tickets. I get them all the time. So all the time. So, but I definitely would love to see that, right? I would love to see police officers being proactive. And I get it. They're very busy. There's a lot going on. It's difficult to just stop for 5 minutes and chat it up with the kids. But I think if we try to do that a little bit more, I think they will be a little less busy with the negative stuff, and they can then focus more on the positive. And I think also in just solving crime, right? Helping with crime within the community, or any other issues. Maybe once those relationships are forged, right, they can have that working relationship where they can. Oh, I think I lost Tim. Are you there? We lost Tim. One second, folks, as I try to get Tim back on. Oh,
I lost you,
there
Fred.
you go.
Sorry, we're
No,
back.
it's okay. No worries. You're back. That's great. Your camera's not on, but I can hear you.
Okay, we're working on the camera.
Yeah. So we'll move forward, and I just want to switch gears a little bit, right?
Sure.
So going back to being a lifelong resident of Yonkers, you're a Yonkers homeowner as well, right? So let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the issues that Yonkers homeowners, particularly in your district, right, District 6, are looking for whoever is the next councilman for the district to address.
So you know what? I think again in the 6th district, it's a big thing with quality of life and affordability. People, property taxes are going up. Everything seems to keep going up. So what I think, especially in the 6th district, is we have to keep it affordable. So we have to keep the property taxes low. Like I've been in my house here for I don't know 25 years. My property tax have doubled since when I first moved here. And you know what? It's fine. You want to pay your fair share, but we don't want it to get to the point, especially with seniors. And I have an aunt who's a senior now, and she lives very close to me. And there might come a time where she may lose her house because her taxes just her small pension is overwhelming with the taxes. So I hope she can keep her home. So I think we need to do a bipartisan thing, and we just have to talk and talk. You can't have hatred or distrust on the council. Doesn't matter what party you're with. It's all about helping people. So if we can help with the taxes, the quality of life, the seniors, we need to help our seniors more. And I'll tell you, I have to give a plug to Yonkers Office of the Aging. They do wonderful, wonderful things, but they just need more help. They need more people to help out. They need more volunteers. So I think that for the 6th district is amazing. I mean, the crime, you don't have a lot of crime here, but you do have, car break-ins, you do have burglaries, which every burglary has to be addressed, not just pick and choose every single one, because we don't want patterns to start. You don't want to say, oh my God, we had 10 burglaries. We need to find, after that first burglary, we need to nip that in the bud.
Absolutely. And you're right. My office and business is located in your in the District 6. We're on Lockwood there. And one of the things that you're looking to address, if elected here in the city of Yonkers, is drag racing and speeding, right? Lockwood is pretty bad. It's pretty notorious for speeding. I mean, I see cars, I'm there all day, so I see cars flying up and down the street. I've been there since November now, and I believe I've seen about 4 accidents, 2 of them pretty bad. How are you going to address that? It definitely needs to be addressed. There's schools there. You have a lot of kids, in the afternoon crossing the streets. So what are your plans for that?
So I think you kind of hit it on the head earlier. You need police on foot. You need police do park and walks. We used to call them park and walks because even that sector that encompasses Lockwood, that sector car can park the car there, and the officers can split up, maybe walk up or down the road and address those quality of life issues. I have a big problem where the speeders, I hear them on the Sprain, Central Avenue, the Thruway, Palmer Road, every day. So when I was on the police job, we used to get together with the state police, the MTA, the county police. We would do these, investigations where we would send out all these people. But you have to do it. It has to be consistent. Once, if you do it once a month or whatever, it's not effective. So you have to do it all the time. And they have these new things where they'll have noise, like it'll pick up noise, and it'll actually take a photo of your license plate and give you a ticket.
Oh,
These
really?
Yeah, these motorcycles are crazy with the sound.
So you're talking about noise. I guess these technologies, devices that pick up sound,
Yeah,
and if the car, your vehicle is making a certain a sound or level of sound, they will take a picture of the car and receive a
yeah.
ticket.
It picks
Wow.
up with the decibel meter.
Right.
If the decibel, if it reaches a certain decibel, it takes a photo of your plate, sends you a ticket. You know,
Wow.
is it the end all? Is it gonna solve everything? But sometimes you hear these motorcycles and these race cars go by. We hear it every night.
Oh, I do too. I live off Central Avenue. So at one point I was hearing the drag racing at 1, 2 in the morning. I even called the Yonkers police. And I will say they took care of it right away.
Mhm.
They came out right away. And I was able to get some sleep. So I do hear it. I haven't been hearing it as much. I know James Nolan, candidate for Westchester County Legislator, District 15, has been working hard on that as well. So that's great. And there's a lot of people, like I said earlier in the show a day or two ago, that a lot of people in the community are looking to make change.
Mhm.
I feel like there's this whole movement, this big positive movement for change,
Yeah,
right? Have you
great.
felt some of that? I mean, from the organization, some of the community organizers, community activists, the politician, it's like this whole like feeling of change.
I agree. And again, it has to be bipartisan. So Jimmy Nolan, I met Jimmy Nolan many years ago. I actually met him. It's an unfortunate story, but
Right.
I met him when his brother was murdered, and it all stemmed from drag racing. So here you have this minor quality of life issue that turned
Right.
into a murder, and this young fellow was murdered, and he had a promising baseball career, and it was over drag racing, and it was something so silly, and
Right.
of course there was an illegal gun used, and if I could just throw it out there, Freddie, many years ago I created the gun tip hotline in
Right.
Yonkers, and it's the most successful gun program, illegal gun program in New York State history. So what we did was we made it totally anonymous. We tried to make it. We marketed it as a really good thing. 377 guns. We had billboards everywhere. You got guns, instead of got milk,
Right.
and, and we focused in on the affected areas. And
Right.
every time we had a shooting in Yonkers, we would flood the area with the flyers. Call 377 guns. It's anonymous, and at first people are reluctant. They're going to say, "Oh, they're going to find out who I am. They're going to do this, do
Right.
that." So myself and another guy, we would go out in the middle of the night when someone would call this, and we'd go and we get the gun, and we made sure that the payment was made in a timely fashion. They would go to a bank, and they would just have to give like a certain number code, and this is still in effect. So you can still use this program. Shelley Mayer took it up to the state. It's now actually a statewide program. We're in excess, I think, of 250 illegal guns. So these are the
Wow.
guns. These are the guns that do the
Wow.
damage. These are the guns. There was one gun in particular that we got. It was used in 4 different shootings, and it actually this gun was used to shoot the same person twice in a 2-year period.
Wow.
So
Wow.
this it works. It's effective, but like you mentioned earlier, this is getting people together to say, hey, let's work on this program. Let's promote this program. They don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter what you are. We're going to save lives, and we're going to make the community safer.
I agree. And how do the illegal guns get in the hands of the criminals, right? There's the whole gun Second Amendment, right? Debate, and it's a really hot topic now. A lot of mass shootings and just shootings in general. How are the guns getting in the hands of the criminals, and how do we kind of find the balance, right, between those who want to own guns legally and keeping the people safe, and illegal guns out of the hands of the people who shouldn't have them?
It's a tough subject, and we could talk about this and debate it probably for hours and hours. But I think the bottom line is you have illegal guns coming from other states where it's so easy to buy a gun. Virginia, Pennsylvania, in the Carolinas. So we would have local kids that would go down there on Greyhound buses. We followed them and found out what they were doing, and they would bring these guns back up. Luckily, we were able to arrest some people in one of the stings, but it happens so often that how do you stop it? So we need to have, and you know what? I'm a gun owner, and I think legal guns is very few times in my career where a legal gun was used in a crime. Unfortunately, in domestics and stuff, it's a different story. But illegal guns are the gun. Those are the bad guns. So we need to work with these other states and say, stop this. Stop allowing people to go to Virginia and buy 5 guns and just walk out and bring them up to New York.
Right. I mean, we just maybe a few weeks ago there was the excuse me, the 6-year-old that was shot.
Terrible.
Right?
Yeah.
I believe some teenagers were shooting at each other, something. So, and the gun buyback program is one way of trying to reduce the crime. But when you hear that it's teenagers, right? We have to figure out, how do we address it? It's young kids. So how do we keep not only the guns out of the hands of the young kids, but the kids away from the guns, or wanting to, to get a gun, and walk around with it. And that's why my wife and I are very big on youth programs, bringing more resources and community youth programs here in Yonkers. It's very key, I believe, again, to helping with crime and helping improve the rate of success among the young people here in the city. Have you thought about that? And what are you looking to do in terms of these? I know that you said there were some programs now, but are you thinking about, more programs, or how are you looking to work with community organizations, let's say, to bring more opportunities?
So, Freddie, I look back on my childhood. I was always in the Luddale Boys and Girls Club. And,
Me too.
and it kept me out of trouble. We were so busy with sports, baseball, football, basketball. So we were so busy, in sports programs. And I remember my mentors like it was yesterday. Like a guy like Bob Storff, I remember him since I was a little kid. He was always a coach in Luddale. He was always involved. Frank Davallo, who was also a retired police chief, he was my mentor. I knew him when I was a little kid, and he became a police officer. And I said, "Wow, this guy's a police officer now." It kind of put me in the right direction. So that youth group kept me and my brothers out of trouble. I know for certain. But also, like the PAL, we used to box. Luddale used to box against the PAL. We would always win, of course, but we would fight. We would have boxing matches in St. Peter's, in the basement of St. Peter's. Again, kept us out of trouble.
Right.
So the PAL is a crucial thing, especially when you have the police involvement and the athletics at the same time. I mean, I know the police were still involved with the PAL, but as you mentioned before, make it more robust, put more people in there. It works. We know it's effective. Work with the community. Let's have reading programs. One thing that to this day, I bless her, and I tell Shelley Mayer this all the time. My mother, we had very little growing up, but my mother made us read, me and my brothers, read. We had to read everything. Come to the point where we're really good readers now. We did well on promotional exams at work that helped us to excel. For me, I want to give that back. I want to have a program. I want to create a reading program through the PAL and get kids prepared for civil service exams. It's all about reading comprehension. So if we can teach kids how to read, keep them out of trouble with the sports, teach them how to read, have other functions, I think we would go a long way. We just have to be consistent. It's same thing, sustainability. You got to sustain it.
Absolutely. And I agree. I agree with all of that. And one thing you mentioned that I want to point out was that you had the mentors, right? You still remember these mentors till this day. So it goes to show how important of a role they played in your life and even maybe your career as a police officer, right? So it's not just what the programs have to offer in terms of the services or whatever technical stuff they have there, but also the people that are working within the programs that are role models, positive role models to the young people going into the program. So I think that's very important. That's key, and that's why I just wanted to make it a point. So again, now switching gears a little bit, let's talk about all that's going on here in Yonkers, right? It's a lot of development going on. Yonkers is getting very crowded, a lot of traffic. What do you think about it? Tell me.
Yeah, you know what? You're 100% right, and that's a good thing. Like I like the development down by the river. I watched it. I watched it go. I used to crab on the Yonkers Pier when I was a kid, um, and then to see that development, there was nothing there.
I
When we were
remember.
kids, there was absolutely nothing. There were empty parking lots. There was a lot of undesirable things going on down there. So it's transformed. The mayor, the current administration did a fantastic job with it. The infrastructure, though, infrastructure needs help. We need to widen Ashburton Avenue. We were stuck in traffic on Ashburton. It needs to be widened. We need to do that kind of quickly because, like you said, you could sit in traffic now on Yonkers Avenue, where 5 years ago you wouldn't do that. So we have to accommodate. We're bringing new people in. We have to accommodate them with schools. We have to accommodate parks. Parks are a huge thing.
Yes.
So as we grow as a city, and I'm sure there's a big plan there, but we have to always push for more, push for better schools, more schools, and parks. Parks are amazing. For when we were kids on Carroll Avenue, my mother would say, "Go play in the park." It was Van Cortlandt Park. It was like 20,000 acres. We were blessed to have that, but we need to do it more. I remember going to Welty Park with my daughter when she's 26 now, but when she was a little kid, and I'd have to go there ahead of time and sweep up the broken glass. So we need to do a better job with things like that.
I agree.
But
I
we're
agree.
getting there. We're getting there. We're doing well.
Yeah, we are, and we're definitely improving. I'm not against the developments or the improvements at all. I love the changes that are happening. Yonkers has, like you said, become a safer city. Um, like you mentioned, also we do need to widen the roads. The traffic is getting out of hand, but I'm sure there's some plans going on. I'm not privy to these meetings, so I'm not going to speculate. But I like to see more by the developers, I should say, in terms of, like you said, more parks, more schools, state of the art schools. I mean, is there some way we can, or you would be able to, if you were elected, to negotiate some of this stuff for the community?
Yeah, totally agree, Freddie. So as an example, like Ridge Hill, they developed Ridge Hill 15, maybe 20 years ago, and I remember at the time we were going to have a firehouse up there, a brand new firehouse, and we were going to have a police precinct up there. If you look at logistics wise, it's very difficult for a fire apparatus to get up there. You got Engine 10, which is on Sawmill River Road. You got another firehouse on Central Park Avenue. It's kind of difficult to get to Ridge Hill. So a firehouse up there, I think, was essential at the time. And I don't know back then what was promised or what was done, but we need to get a firehouse up there. We need to get a police presence up there. So I think we have to work with the developers ahead of time and say, hey, you know what? We're all for you guys coming in here, but we need A, B, and C. We need this. We need the infrastructure ahead of time. We need public safety. If it's not safe, people are not going to come up there. I mean, like Getty Square, we need to make Getty Square safer. People are not going to come. It's kind of it's just basics.
Right. And just touching on Getty Square, I think about that often. I say it's, you have such, this beautiful development and everything's so brand new, and you have so many, people coming in and moving there, but they're not really utilizing the businesses right up Main Street, right? So, again, the business owners are probably not seeing the business that they could be seeing, right, if that quality of life issue was addressed. But I'm sure that's again, that's something that I like to see the politicians and those that are elected this coming election really address. And but going back to the infrastructure and schools, right, we're getting a lot more people. We're getting a lot more kids. I'm sure there's going to be a significant impact this coming school year, and not to mention the added, issues that the pandemic has kind of brought on now. What do you see in terms of that, coming into the fall for the school, and the amount of students maybe now that the city of Yonkers is going to see, and how is that going to impact the classroom sizes?
Mhm. Yeah, I totally agree. So, classroom size has to be reduced. I know the mayor is working on building schools, and my hat off to him. I know he's been pro education and he's been pushing it for years. And I know our state senate, they go up and try to get our fair share of funding from the state. But it's funny because as I've been watching this happen, being an employee of the city for years, every year is the same thing. Oh, we got to get our fair share. We got to get our fair share.
Yeah.
Well, how do we do that? Like, it's almost like the rhetorical question every year. Oh, how do we get our fair share? Buffalo gets more money. Rochester gets more money.
Right.
Like, let's really sit down at a table and say, we got to get our fair share.
Right.
We have to accommodate 5,000-10,000. I mean, we want to build the city. Everyone, like you said, hey, we're embracing development, but get these schools built. Let's have a beautiful new high school and beautiful new schools. Somehow, let's do that. Let's have a stadium. Let's have
Right. Oh, yes.
a high school baseball, football stadium. I
Yes.
mean, we went through this with the new teams, the football teams. They couldn't play a night game. We had to go out, the police and fire.
Right.
We had to go out and lift these portable lights up. There were gas fumes. We did the best we could, but they should be able to have a night game.
Yes.
And I know I don't want to get away from the academic part, but these kids that are playing, these kids have come so far. I saw them develop. I saw them get involved in football and say, oh my God, their lives have changed. They've become better people because of this
Yes.
commitment and camaraderie
Absolutely.
and discipline. So these are the things that are important. And you know what? I know the current administration is pushing hard for it, but we really need to make a stand, and we need to get up to Albany and say, give us our fair share. Let us, we have more of a tax base coming in with these new developers, and let's all help each other out. The developers, are going to have to help us out also.
I agree. And talking about money, right? Getting our fair share. One of the biggest points that is often mentioned, right, is the budget, the city budget, and specifically with the amount of money that the schools get, right? So if you are elected, how do you intend on going in there and being a force for the people in securing this money that you speak of from the state or even the federal government?
Again, I think it comes down to passion, and we have to be resilient. We have to say, and bipartisan again. It has nothing to do with party. We, as Yonkers elected officials, and I truly look forward to being elected. I want to go up and speak for this city. This city is I'm passionate about this city. I'm a lifelong resident. I'm not going. I'm staying here for my life. So we need to work together. We need to not take no for an answer. Again, these developers are making a lot of money. They're building these. I'll tell you, they've done a beautiful job down by the river. It is amazing. It's a jewel down there. I mean, when you look out over the Palisades, I mean, it's amazing. Right. But let's work together. Let's not take no for an answer. Let's get some funding from the developers. We have an increased tax base, and let's go to Albany and kick and scream, just like Buffalo does, and Rochester, and let's get the money, and let's not take no for an answer.
That's what I like. And you're a tough guy, right? You're a police officer, so you have some.
I'm a mush. Ready?
Well, you have to be a little bit tough, I would think, to be a police officer. So I believe you when you say you will be, passionate and strong in your fight for more money, and that's what's needed. And I love the fact that you're a lifelong resident of Yonkers, so you're very invested in the community, right?
Yeah.
You have your family here. You're a family man. You're a father.
Yeah.
How many kids do you have?
I have one child. She moved out. She lives in Florida though.
26, is she that she's the 26-year-old, I believe
She's
you said?
26. Yeah.
26. So she's moved. How do you feel about that?
You know, she's in medical school in
Oh,
Florida.
wow.
So
Congrats.
thank you. Yeah, she's just finished her second year. So she moved down there. She got married in January.
Oh, wow. Congrats again.
I think. Thank you. I think she's going to stay there. I'm not sure. She just came home visit for the weekend. It's funny because it cut it close on the show because I had to drop her off at the airport because I
Oh,
can't.
okay.
26 years old. I still can't say no to her. I just.
Well, she'll always be your baby. My
Uh,
daughter's 9, and I'm already thinking about the day that she moves out and the day that she gets married. And I even start to tear up a little bit. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but just the thought
that's
of
a
it.
good thing.
Yeah. And so, and it happens, right? We have to prepare ourselves as fathers for that day to come. It's going to be very tough for me, but that's a beautiful thing. And congratulations again to you and your daughter. Sounds like she's doing very good, very amazing. And I'm sure you're a proud papa. So, and that's, a reason why someone like you, right? People should look at you, a family man. You are committed to improving the city. You know what it's like to be a father. You know what it's like to be a husband, and you know what it's like to be a resident of the city of Yonkers, right? And you're a community activist, correct?
Yeah.
You belong.
You know what? Just to, when we were kids, it started really on Carroll Avenue. My father would have us shine shoes. He would take us up to South Broadway and Carroll Avenue, and we would shine shoes for an hour. He would sit there and watch us, and we would make a few dollars. Or I don't even think it was a few dollars back then, but it was a great childhood. We didn't have much. We never went on vacation. Vacation was going to Tibbetts Brook Park,
Right. Yeah.
going in the pool. But you know what? It's good to see a progress. So we progressed. We live off Palmer Road now. We bought a home. It's amazing. I went to college as an adult because I couldn't afford to go after high school. I didn't have any money. Went right to work. So I went to college in my 30s. I got a master's degree in my 40s. So we just kept plugging along. And I tell the story, when my daughter was born, she was the impetus for me to go to school because I said, how could I ask this child to go to college? And I didn't even do it. So
Right.
I did it as an adult, and it's not pretty. Anybody listening out there, go when you're supposed to go, because it was difficult, working a full-time job, going to school at night. But I'll tell you,
You did it. You did it, right?
I feel successful by just doing what was right all along, doing the right thing, studying. Thank God I was very fortunate to do well on promotional exams and hold every rank in the police department. Never happened before. I held every rank.
Wow.
I'm a success story, a kid from Carroll Avenue. So I'm blessed. Every day I'm blessed, Freddie.
Yeah, and I think when you came by the daycare center, we talked a little bit about that, right? And I mentioned this many times. I grew up on Buena Vista Avenue, very poor. But like you said, the goal is to improve our lives a little bit so we can give a little more to our kids and they can take it from there. And you've done a great job at doing that. And I think that, sharing that story, really humanizes you. Oftentimes politicians, they speak primarily of the issues, right? And they're important. The issues are very important. But I think it's good. I think it's good that we get to know, the politicians on a more personal level, right? I think that gives good insight into who the person is and how they'll be as a politician and how they will represent their constituents in the city of Yonkers. So I appreciate you sharing that story, and it's great, and it's good to see that, and it's a role model story, for many young kids, growing up in humble beginnings as well. But like I was saying, you were a community activist. You're part of the Rotary Club, and you have mentioned that. Now, what is the Rotary Club? I've asked people that before.
So, you know what? It was almost by chance that a friend of mine asked me to go to a Rotary Club meeting, and I didn't know much about it. But I'll tell you, the first meeting I went to, they had me hook, line, and sinker. It's all about giving. It's all about doing the right thing for people and not asking for anything in return. So it's service above self is the mantra. It's just amazing. I've been in there about 5 years now. I'm the president elect. The things we do locally during COVID, we would every week we would just get local restaurants to get prepared meals together. We did 10,000 meals.
Wow.
Every week we would do
Wow.
500, 600, 700 meals. And this is during the height of COVID when it was really bad. People weren't going out. Seniors weren't going out. And whatever we had left over, we would give to Empress Ambulance. We'd go to firehouses. We would go to the police station. We went to St. John's Hospital, St. Joseph's Hospital. So that's just one part of what Rotary does. And then in the same respect, we do funding for people in Pakistan, India. We're still doing raising money to eradicate polio, peace, ground breaking peace talks. So that's something that I'd like to bring locally too, about peace, peace and grassroots peacemaking. So that's a program that we could have in Yonkers. We built a couple of basketball courts in Yonkers. There's just so many good, there's just so much positive things in Rotary that and our club is so diverse. Freddie, you should come and maybe
you invited me. I said I got to come by
and join, because I'll tell you, you would love it. I mean, service above self, and they mean it. They mean it totally.
Well, that's what I'm all about, and that's, what I've been, in the past couple years now, I've been focusing my attention to and heading in that direction. And I always appreciate those who are doing, community service. And I respect the fact that, again, like Jimmy Nolan, and some other candidates, you are already in getting involved in the community. You're already stepping up and taking charge and trying to make a change. And that to me shows a lot, right? That shows that that's somebody who I know when they get in there, they won't change. They're just going to continue doing what they've always been doing, right? And that's positive things. So I definitely appreciate that. I was also I was interested to see that you were a member of the Mexican Chamber of Commerce.
So yeah, that, you know what, we befriended a lot of people in the Mexican Chamber of Commerce early on. I'd say 8 or 10 years ago, and we just got so involved. Steve Simpson and myself. So we would go in there every Saturday. We would go and do neighborhood cleanups. So they kind of took us into their fold, and it got to be amazing, where we had 40, 50 kids coming out to help us clean New Main Street, clean the area around that. We would play soccer with them, basketball with them. We'd buy them ice cream. It got to be so big that it was difficult for us to buy ice cream for everybody.
Well, next time, give me a call. I'll try to chip in a little bit what I can. I'll buy some ice cream as well, because I think things like that are great. Unity, right? Among the various groups coming together for a commonality, right? We want to improve the city of Yonkers for all of us, right? We all parents, we have kids, we are residents of this city, right? So we should have pretty much similar wants and desires for the most part, right? And I love to see that. And I've actually seen the pictures on Facebook, I believe, where the kids are going in and cleaning up the New Main Street and in the gardens and stuff like that. So I think that's excellent, and especially me being a Hispanic, I'm Puerto Rican, and looking to kind of bring a lot of the Latinos, Hispanics together here in the community to get more involved and do some changes. Great to see that you've already connected with that community, and I would love to kind of be a part of that some way, somehow, to kind of expand on what you guys already been doing. I think it's great. I think that's excellent. But yeah, so that's awesome. Tim, like I said, when we first spoke, you came by and I got a good feel from you, man. I did. I got a good vibe from you. I told my wife that. Even my wife also, she said the same thing. She said, I got a good vibe from Tim. I liked him a lot. And I said, yeah, me too, and not to say that, I was thinking anything negative, right? But, it just, I really did get a good feel of you. And I want everyone to know that, who may not have already met you or know you personally, here in the city of Yonkers, which I'm sure a lot of people do. We're like a small, big city, right? That's what they say. So, definitely I appreciate everything you're doing, Tim, and everything you've done And we're always here to support the community and support all those who are looking to make change here in the community. So, but before I go and end the show, Tim, I just want to give you an opportunity. Is there anything else specifically that you like to mention? You like to let the city, the residents of the city know about Tim Hodges and why you should be considered and elected for City Council of District 6?
So thanks, Freddie. You know what? I'm just passionate about this city. I'm a lifelong resident of the city. I'm a homeowner, like you said. I'm a family man. I've been here forever. I was an employee with the city for almost 34 years. I'm passionate about helping people, and it comes naturally to me. I've always been like that. I always wanted to do the right thing by people, and as I get out into the city and I find, and I speak to people and I find that they just want to be heard. They just want their little small problem or maybe a big problem. I'm that guy. I'm that guy that's going to listen to them. I'm that guy that's going to remember to follow up on that and try to make their lives even just a little bit easier every day. And I think, they call people politicians. I want to be a servant for the people of this city. I've done very well for myself. Thank God. I'm very blessed. And now it's time for me to give back to this community. And elected as a city council person, I will be there for everyone in the 6th district, and I promise them.
Well, I appreciate that, Tim. Well, I'm going to hold you to if elected, I will hold your feet to the fire, right? Because I'm in the district, right? My wife and I like to see a stop sign actually right there in the corner of Lockwood. I'm not sure what that street is. There's the pizza shop there, but I think a stop sign there would really improve.
By free pizza, I think you're right.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it would definitely improve the safety there of the street. Having cars have to stop now, when they get to that intersection, because there was actually an accident maybe about a week ago there at that corner. But I appreciate everything, Tim. I appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate you stopping by the business. You're a real guy, man. You're a real dude. I have a lot of respect for you. Me personally, I like you, Tim. But again, it's up to the people of the city of Yonkers to make the decision that they're going to make when they go to the polls on June 22nd, right, in the primaries. So I definitely wish you the best of luck. I appreciate again everything you're doing. I'm definitely going to be seeing you around, Tim. We'll definitely be talking some more. And I definitely want to get with you to do some more stuff here for the city of Yonkers or whatever capacity that may be. So thank you so much again.
And thank you very much for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. And really quick before I go, Tim, I just wanted to give a shout out to the folks that did give comments. Maddie, from the Pamela's Big Heart Foundation commented. She said she loved the Rotary and I should consider joining.
Yes, you better.
Yeah. And I want to thank my wife. My wife also commented, especially when it comes to the kids. She's very passionate about education and the young people. So she is sure to make a comment when we talk about that. And she thought you had some excellent points. Maria Abdullah, the true integrity, sincerity, and commitment. This is exactly what Tim has to offer and what we need in our community. So Maria Abdullah gave you a nice comment there, Tim.
Nice. Thank you, Maria.
And then we have Aura Latif. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing the name wrong. That's what we need, a real human being working for our community. See, I told you, Tim, when I spoke to people and I said, Tim, you're coming on the show, I got nothing but good things from people. So it remains consistent. So there you go. You have it, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Hodges, former deputy police chief of Yonkers Police Department, and now candidate for City Council District 6. Go vote June 22nd. If you haven't gotten to know Tim already, go get to know him some more. Where can they go visit you, or where can they get more information about you, Tim? You have the Tim Hodges, right, for City Council on
Tim
Facebook.
Hodges for City Council, yes.
Right. So you can check Tim out there, find out more about Tim and some more of his policies, get to know him. June 22nd is coming up soon. So there you have it. Tim, thank you so much. Tell Steve, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. You guys have a great night.
Have a great night, everybody.
Take care. Good night. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for everyone who watched the show tonight. Next week, I will be having London Reyes. London Reyes is a candidate for Westchester County Legislator District. I believe it's 17th. I believe. I'm sorry, I have to look it up. But London Reyes will be on the show next Sunday at 7 live. So we'll hear from him. Hopefully, you guys will join us back then. And I also have Carlos Burgos coming on the show. He will be on June 3rd at 8 o'clock. So we're actually changing the date for that show. It's a Thursday, not Sunday. We're having to kind of move things around just to get some candidates in. So I will have Carlos Burgos on June 3rd. That's a Thursday at 8, not 7, at 8. And he will be on to discuss his candidacy for City Council District 2. And he will be going up against incumbent John Rubo in that race. There was some other guy who got knocked out. And we'll talk all about that because at one point Carlos was on, then he was off, and now he was back on. So we'll find out why all this craziness is happening. So stay tuned for that. Hit the page up, like, share. If you haven't, go to the YouTube page, subscribe. I appreciate all those who watched, viewed, commented. Thank you so much. I'm Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics, and I'm out of here. Enjoy your week, folks.